make some progress on your car? You promised us all you were going to work on it from Christmas to New Year's.
Hey, cars. Yes, I did. Yeah, I got a bunch of welding done. I have, oh, balls, a lot of welding that I did, like 8 to 10 feet of TIG welding, probably a little more than that, probably 10 or so. And then I
Nice.
got it all hammered out. Quarter panels welded on, the quarter panels that I fabricated welded on. The catwalk and rear window that I previously welded together, but I have that all welded. So basically, the whole back of the car there is all welded together. Now I have to um, the flange to the roof on this for the sail panel is done on this side. I just have to finish off the filler piece on the other side, and then I can start getting these side pieces welded together. There's like multiple pieces for the side of the roof that are, especially in the front, I have a couple, basically like 3 or 4 pieces that I have to weld together before I can put that as an assembly on the car. But yeah, it's cruising along. Like I feel the momentum and I want to get my fingers on it. But this afternoon I have to rearrange the back room just to make sure that this next month goes, or the next few months go smoothly as far as taking parts off and on. And just sometimes you have to rearrange the parts room, you know?
Yep. Huh.
But yeah, I dig it, man.
Well, you always have to be careful when you're dealing with a side piece. You know what I mean?
Me, Tammy and I we're just joking about, or saw something about millennials aren't cheating on one another because they're just simply too lazy. That's hilarious,
Well, I guess that's a positive question mark.
right? Yeah, it was just funny because we're both like, Jesus, yeah, we're lazy too, aren't we? We're not. I mean, whatever. That was when we were bullshitting on the couch before bed. So anyway, um, yeah, I'm excited. Like I think that I'm like probably 8 hours away from having like the roof and everything either close to being done or done on my car. Sorry,
Nice.
squirrel moment. But then the top of the doors, I'm trying to like I had an idea for the door tops because we're making it into hardtop car, so we got rid of the pillar. And I want to redo the door tops because the door tops don't really make sense because you cut the top off and it's whatever. Got to redo it. I don't just want to cap the ends because the door tops really don't make sense um, with the rest of the car now. So I'm trying to envision like if I want to put a body line, like there was a body line that kind of went around the car, the back of the car, but I'm just trying to envision what I want to do there now. If it's just going to be one smooth, I think like 40 Mercs and stuff like that are just like the door tops are just pretty much smooth and round, and they look kind of nice. So I'm not sure what I want to do there yet,
What do you do
but I'm
with
trying to
the
envision.
windows for the side of the car then?
So this, all these had like the smoker windows in it, so it'd be like a two-piece. So the top of the door is basically one flat plane, and then another flat plane for each piece of glass. I'm going to do a one-piece glass, so it's going to be when I remake the door, I'm just going to have one straight flange, so it'll be one straight line for the door. So it's going to be a little bit of monkeying around, making sure the window that I don't have installed yet is going to go up and in the right spot. So some of it might be me having to get the mechanism going too and getting all that stuff kind of figured out. So it's going to be more than just getting the door top done. You pretty much have to get the window installed, get a window cut and installed, which I'll use plexiglass or something at first, or Lexan. But yeah, it's going to be a lot. But just trying to figure like mentally, if I make a Pullmax die for the top of the door, but I'm trying to envision just what I want it to look like first, because I
Right.
had an idea in my head and I don't think I really want to go that route. So
Are the quarter
yeah.
windows just going to be, urethaned in or something? Permanently mounted?
Some of the custom guys, like when I say custom guys, like custom with a K, like 50s, 40s, 60s custom. Some of them they just slid in. You open the door and it slid in,
Hmm.
so you could really take it out with the window down or the door open. So I'm probably just going to go that route. It's just pretty simple.
Just have a little channel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I would like to have like Zephyrs had an one piece glass on the door, but they had like an accessory smoker window, it was like a vent window on the exterior. So you can roll the window down and then you can turn the vent window in. They're kind of neat. They're also, it's like a lot of distracting like to the eye. So it's like, do you want extra junk hanging off the side of your car too?
Probably
I'm
not.
not sure. I don't even know if I want to put spotlights back on it. So I had my Appleton spotlights and they look like, it's like the custom thing to do is, put spotlights on it. But to me, I'm gonna have to set one up there just to kind of get a vibe for it again. I don't know if I want to put them back on. Almost takes away from the lines.
Yeah, I'm thinking the car's getting so smooth, you almost don't want like extra
Yeah. Hey, it's
protrusions.
right. To me, that would be like once you start taking off the things that the customs in the 50s and 60s used to do, then you're starting to get into like, sounds stupid, but like Delahaye and like to me that's the vibe I like kind of want to go a little more farther towards like some like French inspired cars potentially.
A little more Art Deco.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be
Because I
pretty
would like
cool.
to do my end vision for the front end is like um the fenders kind of kick the like from when the car's aired up, the fenders like from the headlight go straight down, and I'd like to have them from a side angle be tipped back towards the wheel, towards the tire, so it's almost fits the rest of the car. So it's the rest of the car is kind of slanted back, so it'd be nice to have that slanted back, and then basically, for the lack of a better term, shave the headlights, but make a headlight door, and then have like a cable mechanisms to where you pull the cable, it opens the like a manual cable, it opens the door, and then at the end of the cable, it turns the switch on. So like you open the
Oh,
cable, and then at the end, you know what I'm saying? Like something
yep.
like that on the interior would be kind of cool. So that's my like. I just want it to be like mechanical though. I don't really want to use electric doors or anything. I think you
How,
could, as long as you make the mechanism smooth enough, I think it'd be pretty easy.
yeah. How would the doors flip open, or would they like go down and slide into the body or something? Or
I think it'd be almost closer to like a garage door idea, to where it's going to be like it's just on a track system, and it's just going to just
gotcha.
make. I think it'd be pretty simple to make a track. It's just a matter of getting everything sturdy enough to where it's not going to ever jockey and bind and shit.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's what
Jockey
I'd
and
like to do, but you know, I almost cut the front end apart to do that, and I'm like, no, Quentin, let's like weld some of this shit together in the back first.
how'd all the welding go?
It's a lot. There's some of it where I wish I would have. Some of it I started. I kind of married myself to where the weld was going to be on these panels that I put on the car before I had some of the tooling that I had and the planishing, like the the hoop planishing hammer that I have. So I wish I would have left the weld out a little farther. I thought I was 3/4 of an inch away from the flange. From the flange, I was 3/4 of an inch from the 3/4 of an inch away from the flange of the deck lid opening, and I thought that was enough for me to get my planishing hammer in there. Well, when I ended up starting to cut it and trim it from the bottom side, there's extra part of the gutter that sticks in. So I was like, there's only maybe a half inch of the weld I could see because the backside of the gutter is in the way. So I had to kind of improvise and use different methods of hammering the weld out. But so I wish I would have just set myself up better. And there's different things I would have done differently if I would have built those panels in the more recent months. But what are you going to do?
For the guys that aren't building panels like this and using plenishing hammers, you want to like explain why after you weld you plenish hammer it out or hammer and dolly it out.
That makes sense. So like anytime you weld anything together, it's going to shrink. It's going to suck in. Well, it's going to a certain extent. It's just a matter of what kind of welder you have and your settings. If you have enough penetration, but regardless, if you have enough penetration, you're butt welding two panels together. They're good. It's going to shrink in. And if you use a MIG welder, it's really tough to get that pulled back out without it cracking. Um, like it's virtually impossible to do that with a MIG welder to get that panel stretched back out. So when you're doing a TIG welding or gas welding, it's soft enough and you can expand that back out. So after that heat pulls that panel in, so you're going to start like this, your panel, your butt welding, it's going to start pulling in. It's, if you're on a crown, it's going to start pulling in. So you, I basically use a little more filler rod than I do, just because when I'm welding, I just want to make sure I have enough there so I'm not having to refill holes and shit like that. Um, so I'll basically dress the top of my weld just a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom to just correct any irregularities in the panel itself. And then you just stretch that weld back out. And as soon as, even like, if you're welding something together, like you've heard like the panel go dunk and like shit like change and move and shrink in. Well, if anything bad happens there when you're welding a panel in, and there's like some distortion and it really fucks the panel up, like it's all like twisted up and stuff. All like, don't start trying to straighten the panel. Correct the weld first. Stretch that weld
Right.
back out, because that weld that's pulled everything together, you can try correcting everything else, and you're just going to start twisting and unforming that panel really badly. So if you stretch that weld back out, that's going to stretch out all the areas that were all pulled in, and that corrects the panel. So basically, the better it is before you start welding, like if it's perfect before you start welding, and you weld it up and it's all fucked up, it's because of the weld. So then you just correct the weld. So it's just a matter of like, oh, it's making sure that the weld, it's some of it is making sure that it's the weld first, making sure that it is good before you start welding.
Right.
If you have a panel just tacked together and you kind of push the panels together and tacked them, there's still a lot of tension. So when I'm putting the panels together and I'm tacking them together to get it prior to welding, I'm gonna planish that seam out, and that's gonna take all that tension out. So if you're right before you go to weld, if you don't take that tension out, you're gonna see that panel start to do some goofy stuff along the edges, and it's just gonna, even between your tacks, it's gonna start to misalign because it just has tension on the panel. So if you planish that out before you weld it, you get even better results. And the better results you get after you stretch this out, you don't need to have a half inch of filler in it. If you go across the big panel with a MIG welder, you go across the huge quarter panel, you're going to have a good amount of filler in it to repair that, because you can't stretch it back out. And what else are you going to do? So it's almost like the more time you spend ahead of the weld and ahead of just like, shit, I need a MIG welder, let's make this right. Like the more preparation, it almost takes less time in the end.
Right.
Like, especially body wise, like it really does. Like when all you have to do is block the car out, skim coat it, and you're good to go. Like, you're not building quarter panels with body filler like we used to do at that place that we worked together.
Yeah, the foundation work definitely goes a lot farther than trying to save some time on the metal.
Mm-hmm. Generally, like if you're trying to fill a gap, that's going to shrink more than if your panels like tight. So that's something to think about too. Because you can always fill a gap. I mean, anybody can fill a gap if they really want to try. I mean, you try hard enough. But do you want to? Not always, but sometimes you have to.
All right, now to go a little against what Quentin said, I was patching a 55 this week, well, last week and last weekend. Um, Big YouTube series it's for Mr. Sam, a guy that hangs out with Cletus McFarland. Uh, and I went up to my friend's shop to help him with some of the metal work before they got this car in epoxy because it was acid dipped. So they just wanted to get somebody probably patched it. I'm guessing the 70s. They just put a piece of metal behind it. Yeah, they just tacked it around on the edge and then they just packed it full of filler. Um,
Mm.
so it's a 2-hour
You
drive for
should be
me.
lucky that it was even metal, dude.
Yeah. Uh, it was a 2-hour drive there and back for me. I had my kid with me. You know what I mean? I was just going to help out. I wasn't, gonna work there.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I only had about 6 hours of work time to do it, and they have a TIG welder, but it doesn't get used all that often. And I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna be able to TIG this up
Yeah, what you were doing, that's a tough one to pull off. That in that bottom corner, if you're taking that in. Like you would spend the whole day tacking it in and getting it like finished out
Yeah.
before you even burnt it. Yeah.
So I was left with the conundrum of doing a quality patch that hundreds of thousands of people are going to see, and I did two large ones, and I MIG welded it. And above the where I cut them out, there was also on the passenger side a big crease. Um,
Sweet.
so I marked out what was the minimum I could cut on this thing, and then also with utilizing some of the corner body lines, like where it meets the where it rolls under the car, where the
Hmm.
wheel arch is, to kind of have something sturdy. And I cut them out and then hammered the heck out of that crease because, like Quentin said, you got to get the metal straight before you try welding anything into it. And then hand form patches, and then when they were I made them oversized, put them on the inside, and then scribed, so I could get as tight of a fit as possible. Because, like you said, you start welding gaps, and you're gonna have a lot more shrinkage.
Can you describe the patch panel from the edge of the body on the like from so you use the it sounds like a dumb question, but you held the patch on the outside and you scribed on the inside from the quarter panel?
No, I actually slid, because thankfully there was like a access on the inside of that quarter panel, so I slid the patch down from the inside,
Mm.
and then I used the outside line to scribe. I I I could have made the patch bigger and then scribe. It would have been much simpler to just scribe the outside of the panel. But I was kind of in one of those situations where I was like, I would rather leave more of the original quarter panel and less
Yeah.
patch. Not,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a quarter inch, eighth
No, that
inch.
makes sense. Sometimes I'm coming from the angle of get the weld out in the open so I can uh correct it, you know.
Right.
So sometimes it's like just make it a little bigger and that'll make it a little easier for myself. But I definitely understand especially you had like a day,
Yeah.
like your was definitely you did a good job. I mean, I think it looked good. So
Yeah. So when I did that, and then I scribed it and I sanded it, or, you know what I mean? Flap wheeled it in real close. And then I kept fitting and fitting and fitting. I mean, I did the videos in time lapse. So you can't see
oh
that
yeah,
it was in and out like 40
believe me,
times.
I get it.
So I ended up getting it. So there was like one area on one of the patches I could just lightly catch my fingernail in. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
it was tight. And then, tack it around the outside edge and constantly, hammering and dollying and picking at
Yep.
things to get them as flat the entire time I'm welding. Because if it does suck in and you weld that up, when you sand it, you're going to have a big crater.
Yeah, if you don't correct it with a MIG welder, if you don't get that corrected before you tack, you put that hot tack in that spot, it's gonna hold it there and that's it.
Yeah. And then,
I mean,
um,
good results MIG welding too. I mean, I've done that for sure.
yeah,
I've done that up until 4 years ago.
it works. It's just you have to be a lot more careful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every tack it's got to be right. If you want it to be right in the end, like almost every tack has to be like the panel has to be in the right spot.
Yeah,
If you want it to be
absolutely.
like perfect as possible in the end. So it's kind of nerve wracking that way, but it's also, if you need to knock it out, I mean, you can fucking knock some stuff out with a MIG welder too.
Yeah, and then I did hammer and dolly the whole weld and all, you know what I mean, straighten the panels back out after. They could use a little bit more, because as far as just the panels being massaged, because there was already a stretch from the crease. The one there wasn't a
Yeah.
crease, and I just welded a panel in, and I didn't have to get into the wheel arch or anything. That one's really nice. But the one where I had to do the wheel arch, and then there was the crease there was already like tension and spring in the metal, so I had to fight that a little
Sure.
bit, and it could use a little massaging. But you're nowhere. I don't even think you'd be over an eighth inch of filler in the way it is right now.
It's all acceptable.
Yeah, generally eighth inch on a large panel is not something, like eighth inch at the worst spot is not
Yeah.
really
I mean,
scary.
you're talking an eighth inch that you're feeling there, but when you go across, when you're like looking down that whole panel, I guarantee you it's going to have an eighth or more to correct the line down the panel. You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying?
Oh yeah.
After you skim coat it, there's going to be areas with eighth inch easy just to get that thing looking straight.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. People think that everything that's metal finish doesn't have filler in it. It's like, listen, you can straighten these cars till your teeth are blue or whatever the phrase would be. I mean, you're still gonna once you put a straight edge down the car, it's not exactly like reflection all the way down the car straight and no wrinkles. Like anybody that's even, I mean, if you have like or like those copper or aluminum cobras that are just like raw, that would be the only time. But guess what? Those cars aren't flat. None of them are
No.
flat. They're all huge radiuses.
Yeah. Yeah, you can hide a little bit in the radius. Yeah, the
All you do is stretch it back. All you do is stretch it out a little more.
yep.
Like you just radius it a little more. Like it's not. I'm not taking away from what those guys do with those Cobra bodies because they are fucking amazing. Like what those guys do with like even those Shelby, was it like those first gen Shelbys. I can't remember. Anyways, but those guys, those are really amazing. Like amazing craftsmanship that those guys do. But yeah, you get a little whoop in it, and you just stretch it out a little more. You know?
You know what I'm saying?
Then you just make the other stuff match.
Yeah, so it you just try to make it sure that the work you do is at least as good as the you know what I mean, the factory panel and
Yeah, yeah, and there is that too. I mean, you can spend you could probably blow 30, 40 hours on getting those quarter panel patches in there and making
oh
them
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
But does he want it perfect? You know, it's one of those things where if the customer sees the level of work that you're doing and they're like, I want this, but like that's asking one thing, but in another, it's like, does he just want the patches welded in and he doesn't care if it's got a half inch of filler in it? Because if he doesn't give a shit, like, what are we all doing here? You know, some people just don't care. You know,
Yeah, this guy definitely
I'm
wants a
sure this
nice
guy probably.
car, but he wants a nice car, but
I
he's
if
also
you're in
realistic.
the car with chassis, you're not. I don't think you're the kind of guy that's like, yeah, just pack it full of filler.
Yeah. The guy and the shop owner were quite pleased with what the patches, you know what I mean? If you look at the car,
Listen,
the patches are far from, the biggest problem. But,
sure.
there was some dogs in the comments barking at me about how are you going to protect the inside of that? Because in in the channel video for the shop, it doesn't show me weld through priming the back side of and like up in the quarter and everything like that while I had it open. Even
Yeah,
though the car is stripped right now, it is acid dipped, empty. So even though I put a patch in it, it would have been strip, bare metal behind there either way. But I'm getting barked at about by people.
like it didn't catch where it was dipped. You ding ding. Like holy cow.
But I weld through primered it because have you've worked on Tri Fives? They got that weather strip where the wheel arch meets the like butts against the quarter panel. The quarter panel's not actually welded to the wheel tub.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I've dug that deep on a try five.
Yeah, so before they put the quarter panel on, there's like the wheel tub, the edge of it where normally you would spot that would weld into the lip of the wheel arch on the quarter panel or something. On this, it's just like the metal comes out straight and they put a weather strip on it, like a T weather strip on it, and then they just lay the quarter panel up against it, weld the quarter panel at the seams, they weld it at the rockers. There is literally it's stapled into the steel. I I I
Dude,
the car comes back from dip and I'm looking at it, I'm like, what in the heck is this? And you can see it's like factory leaded and everything into the seams and everything. And then
what the hell?
there's a weather strip. Now you're looking at that 57, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? That's crazy.
I've never seen that. And so I got my friend and I was like, what the heck is with this? And I was like, it looks 100% factory, like the way it's done, it's trimmed, it's laid in there.
Yeah,
But they
weird.
weld it to the sail panel above the trunk. They weld it, to the roof. They weld it all down like the door jamb and to the rocker.
Dude, no wonder why Tri-5s always crack at the above the rear bumper underneath the trunk. They always crack there. No wonder why. That
Yeah.
makes total sense.
And no
They, like
wonder that the
all my
corners of the
fives I've seen come into a body shop where the underneath the trunk it's all fucking cracked out. Like almost all of them.
Yep.
Wow. Those are really that's really honestly stupid.
Well, and now wonder why they
Like it's
rot
supposed
out
to
in
be
that
the
corner.
biggest, baddest car, but it's like Mickey Mouse together. What the fuck?
Yeah, we were kind of wondering why both corners were rotted the way they were, and then when we saw that there's weather stripping in that corner, it's like, oh, I bet you this held some moisture and some stuff.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot.
It's weird.
We got all the interior in on that. Not all the interior. I just have a B pillar and some had a small list of stuff that I had to get for the 57, but it's all the seats are in it. It's looking pretty sick. It's all the insides brand new. So yeah, the just got to get the glove box cardboard in there, get the glove box door on, some other small little things, and it's pretty much pinstripe it and should be done with it, hopefully.
What are you doing for pinstripe on it?
But
Just a line, or are you doing some artwork on the back?
some artwork. I just got to verify some colors with the customer. I have some colors that I think that would look good, but it's just want to verify with her, and then yeah, I want to make sure we're like I know she wants designs on it in places, but sometimes like too much pinstriping all over it kind of like takes away a little too much. So I gotta
Absolutely.
kind of see what she's like, how many designs and like where and like it's kind of like a tattoo, like where do you want it, kind of a thing.
Lower
Um,
back.
I mean, some of it is like to the artist's discretion, I would suspect, but also I just want to make sure that she's gonna be happy with it. So yeah, so that it shouldn't take too much. It's just a matter of getting whatever we need, colors we need. I think we have the colors here, so it shouldn't be too bad. Yeah.
Nice.
Also got the fuel tank out of the Model A that we chopped to get that thing cleaned out before blasting, and that was like I talked to a place in town because they used to do fuel tank cleaning, and I think the last one I took to them was like really rusty, and so when I called them this time, they're like, "You better bring it in. I don't know if we're gonna say yes." I'm like, God damn it. So, but he scoped the inside of it, and he's like, "Dude, this thing's 100 years old. It's like the nicest tank I've seen that was 100 years old." I'm like, "Okay." So it was actually a nice inside apparently. At least we're getting it cleaned out before everything gets all final welded together and sandwiched in there forever. So
Yeah, and then do you put like that tank coating in it that you like pour in and roll the tank around?
I haven't talked to one guy that cleans tanks or does anything like that. I know a few people that do that, but anybody and these guys that I'm talking to that I've had clean my tanks for like 15, 20 years, they're like, we don't do those linings. He's like, they'll end up falling out. He's like, they just say, put a little Marvel mystery oil in your fuel tank and keep your gas tank full. That's their recommendation.
Well, they're not
I
paying
mean,
the
and if you
pump
just
bill.
like, they're not paying the what?
The bill at the gas pump. Keep it full.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but
I'm just kidding.
I mean, if it's yeah, right. If the fuel tank's full and if you just like jockey the car around and just get that re-wet the top of the tank, I mean, it's gonna last a long, long, long time. Just a matter of, if you have a car that you can shimmy around enough, or if you can just, start it up and hit the brakes once on the car and get that fuel to move around, it should be fine. But
Right.
just a matter of how long you're gonna have parked. If you have a collection of cars and you're not gonna drive it for, maybe once a summer, I think that's a different scenario.
I had a friend that did that tank lining, and the whole thing seemed a little weird to me. Like he poured it in, it was like a red stuff, and then he like rolled the tank over and over and over. I don't know.
Yeah, it scares me because I mean, what it's gonna get behind that lining at some point.
Right.
Like it just will. So
And
then
my
what?
my concern too is like that stuff probably breaks down at some point, and then you're filling filter socks and filters, and yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's just like the potential for more problems are. I mean, I don't know. It's just not my. I never heard anybody have good luck. Like this is the way to do it, and anybody helping me with the fuel tank stuff is They just clean it out, keep clean, oil it, okie dokie, or just get a new one.
Just get a new one.
That's what. Just get a new one. Just get a new one.
Hmm. I was
Yeah.
driving back from Fort Myers after working on that car, and my kid was with me, and then he was looking through my phone, and then I was like, "Oh, Quentin sent some pictures of his car," and he swipes over and he sees like the angled shots you took, and he's like, "This thing is sick."
Yeah. It's a. I just got to get it back out on the road. Take it to a couple shows, and it. I mean, when it's laid out, it looks fucking crazy. I mean, I think it looks pretty rad. I just cut it up until I liked the way it looked, and then we started filling the gaps. And then, here we are, 3 years later,
Well,
trying to finish it. But
sometimes getting the approval of a 13-year-old is harder than anything, so you're on the right path.
sure, hell yeah, nice, winning. That's a win.
Yeah. We were, and then after he saw that, we were driving, and then I don't think I sent you a picture or video. He took a video, but I'm like, I think there's a Porsche or something up in front of us, and we're driving. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We get to a stoplight, and I just see it peeking out. It was like two cars ahead of us or three cars ahead of us, and I see the corner. I'm like, that's a wide body Porsche. What's going on with that? And then we take off at the light, and it turns, and as soon as he turns, silver, and then I see across the bottom in red, GT3 RS. And I was like, oh,
Jesus.
that car costs more than my house.
Yes. Yeah, that's a pretty serious car.
Just old
This
white
gets
haired guy.
pretty. There. I mean, there isn't there. What is that town that in Florida that's like? I don't know. It's fucking ultra expensive. I can't remember what that town was.
For what?
I'm sure there's multiple of them. I don't know. There's some people from up here that went down there, and there's like you drove around in a Ford, and you felt like you were like pond scum. I don't know where it was. It was funny though.
There's a lot of that, but also I don't know. You got to be pretty buried in a neighborhood to be weird in a Ford, but I mean, it's not odd to see, $1 million car or something, $250,000 car, but there's still a lot of regular cars around pretty much no matter what city you're in.
I don't see that stuff here. I don't see that stuff here at all. The coolest thing I see is like a Z06 Corvette. Like we don't. I don't even know if there's anybody in the area that would have a ZR1. But regardless, all the the guy down there's a guy in town here that had a Z06, a brand new one that burnt up in that recall.
Really?
Yeah, and they apparently GM won't cover it because they found a rag in the engine bay. Yeah, right.
Wow.
Fucking
Wow.
cool.
Um, when
Yeah.
we got speaking of cars, when we got to my buddy's shop, I was like, okay, he had the 55 in his, I don't know what you want to call it, the finishing shop, the paint shop, and then he's got like another shop he rents next to it for, he calls it the dirty side. So that's like all the, you know, grinding and body dust
Yep.
side. And I was like, are we gonna move the car out of here? Because there was like a numbers matching 396 69 Camaro on the lift that they were doing a vintage
Oh,
air on, and there was like a convertible I think 67 GTO they just were wet sanding, and I was like, you don't want me grinding in here, right? Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and then he's like, no, we'll move it over, but we're gonna have to get the Ferrari out of the way. And then we walk into the shop, and there's this F430 Spider, I guess. If they're convertible, they're Spider, right?
Well, I have no idea.
I think so. But oh, whatever. This black F430, and he's like, I don't feel like climbing in that thing. You want to move the Rari? And I was like, yeah, I suppose, whatever. So then I moved the F430 they were working on. And then he texts me,
Was your kid like,
was it what?
was your kid like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, it
Uh
did have been. I
he,
would
he likes it. He was like
have.
Italian fingers. But
Yeah.
he likes it. And then my buddy texted me yesterday that or maybe it was 2 days ago. They got a pearl white Lamborghini Aventador in the shop right now, getting some work
Oh,
done. Like, He's definitely in the mix. Um,
Yeah, no doubt. Gets his hands on some crazy stuff.
I'm not gonna go too crazy in talking about what he was telling me, but he's got a all new Dynacorn Chevelle. So I don't know what year Chevelle Dynacorn's making, but
69.
he said that the customer dropped it off and gave him one of those like big boy block gapping tools, and he said, "I want this car in metal, everything gapped to 3/16. Let's see if you can do that, and then we'll go from there."
That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. Like so like my friends like if that means welding filler rods down the edges of the body panels and
You shouldn't have to do that.
that's kind
I
of what I
mean,
thought.
that's last case scenario.
Yeah, he said so the guy
You're
told him
starting
like
well shit. I mean, don't ugh.
yeah, that's really scary to me cuz he asked me he's like, "Ethan, I don't want to weld, have to do these long welds on the edge of the panel." I was like, "Yeah, me either." But I'm like, I
I
really
mean,
think you should be able to, get the door in place and then the fender, the guy said like don't shim this thing, cut the brackets and re-weld them. You know what I mean? Like whatever you have to do to get it in place. So I don't think he should be having to go crazy unless the door to quarter panel and rocker gap is unfixable. Because I feel like the fender you can work to the door and to the hood,
some of it, I mean, I
but I
would
haven't seen them.
be I would be cutting the quarter panel and opening it and close like the outside edge,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You cut that.
outside edge, and moving that before I would be trying to weld something on the edge of the panel.
I agree because he said that, and I've heard of it, but it's like that's a serious undertaking because you're talking about feet of weld on the
Well,
edge
and
of a
to be
panel.
honest, if the first person attempting that job on that car doesn't get it right, it's fucking junk. You're going to spend double to get it finished right, right the second time.
Right.
So not having, I mean, you definitely got to go in there with a game plan, and hopefully you're starting on it and not like so you're not picking up the pieces from somebody else trying to weld rod on the ends of the and because then you weld stuff on the edge of the panel, and then what if you get it? You're into body work, you got it epoxied, and now you have to push in that edge, and now you have it. Let's say you MIG weld something on the end of that panel, and now you're trying to hammer that MIG weld with rod on it. Boy, I mean, it just sounds like problems. I mean, this Mustang here, all the panels on the outside are aftermarket, the whole thing. I mean, the tub isn't, so that would be a different story for you. But I mean,
I think it is a
to
tub
be
is
honest,
aftermarket.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But to be honest, the welds on those aftermarket tubs are a third of what a factory one is. So if you have to cut a weld and move it, it's nothing.
Hmm.
Like it's not like cutting and loosening a factory car. Sometimes the welds are on the edge of the panel and not spot welded.
Oh, gotcha.
Like these aftermarket box sides, they're wherever they're made in like Vietnam or Indonesia or China, wherever the fuck they're made. They just buzz the edge of the panel with a MIG welder. They don't even spot weld the damn thing.
Hmm. I wonder.
So it really depends. If it's a Dynacorn body, it's probably going to fit halfway decent from the beginning. But
Right.
to get it 3/16 gap, I would be concerned about door swing from front door to fender. Is it even possible? Because on Camaros, that's not possible. Like a 69 Camaro, you cannot, like, with the body lines that the car has, you can't physically get the door that close
Yeah,
to the fender.
the Chevelle doesn't have a big peak on it. I don't think though, like the
And maybe
69.
that's probably the reason why, but it does have a decent body line in it though, doesn't it? No? Am I thinking wrong?
Like I said, I don't even know the year of the car, but
It's got to
yeah,
be a 16 if it's bro.
they've got an okay body
Yeah,
line. But
well, yeah, you should be able to tuck that in pretty close.
my thought,
I do
so
remember the factory, they didn't fit very well though. Even factory.
oh,
Like
I'm
the
sure
fenders
not.
now, I don't even think, yeah.
Well, there's a difference
They
between
do have
what
a
is and what somebody wants.
yeah, it's true. It's very true. That sounds fun though. Like honestly, that sounds like gapping a car is it sounds stupid, but it's like really gratifying and
Oh yeah.
satisfying for me. Like I
It,
really like doing that.
yeah, they said no shims in metal 3/16.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, so my only concern with that it would be but when you line up the door body line to the body line, you can close the gap on the quarter to the door, but you know what I mean? If you've got too big of a gap between the rocker and the bottom of the door it would be I mean, you're almost gonna have to live with that.
That's usually if you're not living with that, you're probably going to have to it'd probably be easier to make a new like make a little flange and weld it in on top of the rocker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would probably be easier to do that. Like even with these Mustangs, you can get the gaps nice and tight, but they're I don't know. You gotta basically rework the rocker to get that sucked in. There's always height differences for some reason on these aftermarket panels. Like
What
they
if you
make them a little too short.
what if you split the rocker and then you know what I mean, opened it up.
The rocker, you could do that. I think it'd be more work and more correction in body work because you're
Right.
going to have a weld all the way down that rocker. Also, I guess you could cut the rocker in just the door opening and move it up. But then, like you said, you're filling a gap in the center of the rocker. Adding a panel on top isn't exactly, you're just sandwiching panels. You don't really, it's not ideal. But in this custom car world, I don't think there is if you want it like perfect, like no panels overlapped. You want a full custom car, which when you're asking for 3/16 gap, to a certain extent, you're past factory. You're not, factory is out the window because you're not doing that. You know what I'm saying though?
Right.
Because if it's factory, then shitty gaps are semi acceptable.
Right.
So it really depends on, if the guy wants that good a gap, you're going to have to make something happen. And if the guy wants to make it perfect, that's a whole nother level too. As far as like panel fitment, if you want the rockers to fit perfectly to the doors, well, let's cut the rocker off and make a new rocker. Like that's almost like how far does he want to take it to be right?
Right.
So do you modify that panel or do you just make a new one?
Yeah, and you definitely
Because
don't
sorry, go ahead.
you definitely don't want to be welding to the edge of a folded over door skin.
No, 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 no. Because it's not going to be just the rate of success. It's going to be very small.
I wonder if
Trying to get that well.
I wonder if the customer like saw something on a TV show about welding filler rod down the edge or something that
Is that something the customer asked for, or is that something the guy that he talked to, or
I
the shop owner?
the way he worded it to me made it sound the shop owner made it sound like the customer said it.
I mean, I've seen. I mean, I think in that Winfield class, that Gene Winfield class, that he was talking about welding rod on edges and shit. That's an old school. That's like old school. So I mean, depending on the age of the person that owns the car, the owner of the car itself, I can see could see somebody doing that. But when you go into any real high end shop, I mean, I think welding rod to the end of your panel to fill gap is. I don't know if anybody's doing that. I wouldn't be doing that. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna take a
it would
person
be
though
like.
that can move a panel. Like, you know what I mean? That can open a quarter or do the move the rocker or whatever.
I mean, even if you're like a half inch, like the quarter panel, I mean, usually you can get the door on a car like that. You should be able to get the door snuck down pretty far. I think I mean, I think you'd be able to sneak it down pretty far. And if the body lines don't match up, sometimes you can correct body lines too to get that stuff to line up. I don't know. Sometimes it's like with that 58, that one cowl side is down like almost a half inch. So sometimes you got to cut the quarter. You might have to cut a quarter panel loose in a corner and move it. It's all possible. But having aftermarket stuff, there's a lot more questions without having the vehicle in front of you.
Right.
There's a lot, and making sure it's on like a square chassis sitting squarely on the floor, or the chassis it's going to be on or whatever. Like ideally, it would be the chassis that it's going to be on finally with the engine and transmission in it, or the mock weight of said thing, because you're going to gap that car without an engine and transmission, and then you're going to set an engine and transmission, and it's going to be all fucked up because that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm guessing this is just a, a repopped Chevelle that's rolling that they
Yeah,
pulled in this shop, and that they told him, we want you to get it set up, and we want you to drill the 1/8 inch holes through the door hinges so we line them back up where they are later after, you know what I mean? Like, so they can be replaced in the same spot. And
if that's what they're wanting to be married to, then they should definitely be putting the weight in the car,
yeah, I didn't even
because it will.
think, I didn't think to ask if it had that, especially because Chevelle's a unibody, isn't it? Or no,
Well, it's on a frame,
they're on a frame.
so it's still going to flex though.
Yeah, especially if it's a big block.
Yeah, for real. I mean, no lie, for real. I mean, this the Coyote in this thing, it's not. I don't think it's that heavy of an engine, and it's changes how the car sits in the '66.
Hmm.
You know,
Well, maybe I'll call my buddy and have a chat with him.
I mean, even if it's just a, you could probably put a small block in it, and be all right. But you want to kind of get the match the weight of whatever's going in it. So I mean, even if it's just a donor or something that's junk, something they have sitting around, potentially. But
It sounded to me like this customer is not married to them as being the shop, and this is more of a litmus test to see if he wants to have cars done there. Does that make sense?
yeah, to me, it's almost. I've had customers have that, like, come to that with that approach, and it's turned in my circumstance, it's turned out to be like, okay, we want you to work on it more, and now I've got a pile of cars that I need to work on. But it's almost like you're testing each other out too. You want to test the customer out as far as what you can get through in a month, their expectations, your expectations, billing, actually paying the bill. Sometimes that first month is like, you can see potential red or green flags. You like, that's what you're vibing it out the first month. So I can definitely see that. So I get to cart apart a Roadster shop chassis this next week.
Oh yeah,
I mean, not a lot, just the engine mounts. Got to move them back a little bit, but
on the
it's
58.
fun to say I get to cut apart a new chassis.
Nice.
Yeah, and that 58, it's got to get moved back. So we're made some decisions as far as uh, where we want the firewall cut, how we wants that to look in the end, stuff like that. But
Sweet.
pretty simple stuff. The transmission mount is like got a foot of adjustment, so that's really not an issue. So
Does
he
that make
brought
you,
his. Oh, go ahead.
this cutting stuff like that make you sweat a little, or you don't mind one bit?
Nah, it's just metal.
Yep.
It's easy. It's easy. That's no big deal. It doesn't make me sweat at all. I mean, I think the customer was like when I told him what I was gonna do, he was like, okay. But yeah, there's a bunch of different ways you could move that, like change it. Like you could make a new mount, leave the mounts on the frame side, and just make a new mount. But it would be like really goofy and angled really weird. And for the amount of weld and surface area, it's just going to be easier and stronger to just cut the little mount. It's basically like a little channel that they have coming off. There's enough room on the frame to just cut it, move it back, re-weld it on. So
It'll
it
look
seems
better.
it's going to be pretty easy. It will look better. I mean, it making those engine mounts. I could have 16 hours and getting the mounts remade, and hopefully they're right. And this is just going to be like, pull the engine out, cut the mounts, set the engine back in, move it back, tack everything back in, make sure it's in the right spot. It's going to be more of cutting out of the firewall and making sure shit's trimmed back enough there than it will be the mounts itself, I think.
I love cutting up nice stuff. I love it.
Yeah, I get to cut up a brand new Premier cab and a brand new Roadster Shop chassis. So let's do it.
I showed up to that shop. We moved the Ferrari, put the 55 in there. I mean, it wasn't 10 minutes. It was in place, and I was already cutting holes in the side of some dude's car.
Yeah, it's all just cars, man. I mean, just it's just like cutting up a toaster, man. It's just somebody's product. Who cares?
Yeah, my
People get married to like, it's too nice to cut up. I'm like, fuck that.
mm-mm.
Cut it up.
My kid I had
Yo,
with me. I was like, you why don't you come make a cut on the car, you know? And he's like, he's only used the ankle grinder once before, and he's like, well, what if I mess up? And I went, there's nothing you can mess up that I can't fix. You know, the car's in bare metal. It's not like
right.
I hadn't cut a patch yet for that side that I was having him cut, so the patch could have grown at 3/16 of an inch or whatever. But just trying to wet his feet a little bit, but definitely not used to the grinder sparks just like nailing you.
Oh yeah, that's something. I remember that. Was it something with some early Jesse James show? I don't know if it was his like biker build off or whatever, but there's like sparks flying and he's like showering and putting them into his hair, like brushing him into his hair.
It was
I remember
Monster
doing that
Garage.
shit in high school, seeing that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was Monster Garage. I've been rewatching
Yeah,
that, and just for like when I drink my coffee in the morning, I put it on as like a background show. It's comforting.
sure.
But yeah, he did that, and it was it was like the first season. Somebody's grinding, and yeah, he's just brushing it through his hair. It goes good
Yeah,
with
I
the
did it at
pomade.
high school. I did it in high school, and I'm doing it like through my dry hair. He's got it all greased up, so he's not burning anything. And I'm like, ow, 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 ow. Oh yeah,
Who doesn't want to be Jesse James,
kids.
I guess.
I don't know. It's definitely somebody that exposed little old me in central Wisconsin to a lot of shit I never would have been exposed to. Between that and American Hot Rod, I think it is with Boyd. Shit, that show was awesome, man.
Oh yeah. The drama was a bit extra, but the show was good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but yeah, to see that level of car, you weren't. There's no other TV show showing cars at that level,
Right.
and then showing different departments of just making custom cars. It was fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah.
can't even imagine that. I couldn't have even imagined it when I was a kid. Like when I grew up in my dad working at a Chevy dealership, and everybody's like, working on their own shit, but nobody's making anything that nice.
Right.
Like, not even close. You'd see something like that at a car show every once in a while and wonder like who, how, why. But this is a show showing it to you, like full exposure and more drama, but whatever. It
Yeah.
was
They
cool.
need that for the
I like.
non-car guys.
Yeah, we were just at a restaurant yesterday, and they had, I think it was like Power Nation or something on. It looked like basically like Power Block TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I'm like staring past the wife, watching TV. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. They're dynoing some motor. It's like 950 horse, pretty rad." And then a bunch of girls sat. I'm like, "Oh," like right underneath of it. I was like, "I can't even look at the TV anymore. Damn it, we gotta go."
Dang, women getting in your way of your view, or you just didn't want to look like a creep.
That's basically it. I'm drooling over some big block on TV.
It's not a good look.
No, not wrong, not wrong.
They
Oh
turn
yeah,
around and notice you staring. You just got like burger grease dripping down the beard.
that's what I want not to happen.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh
I,
shit.
I think that might be a good finishing note for this one.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, where can they find you online?
You can find me on the YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Can they find you, sir?
Find me at Terror Shark TV. Main thing is YouTube, but you can get me everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Is that everywhere? That's everywhere.
That's everywhere. Fucking cars, Betty.
All right. Why don't you give everybody your social security number and home address and your mother's maiden name?
648. Nah.
Oh, okay. Available in audio form everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you want to see it in video, you can go to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/F_CKING.
CARS. And just for $5 a month, you can get all of our podcasts in video format, extra bloopers at the end, so you can get a little bit more feel. You can see some of the things we're working on, even some of our more inappropriate moments, and help support the channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification so you get notified every week when we post a new episode.
Fucking cars, man.